If you haven't heard, there's a new Mortal Kombat movie on the horizon. But will it crush or suck? Well, there are a few things that I think an action movie needs to get right in order to work, and so today I just kind of want to talk about it. Hi, my name's Bobby. I'm an indie filmmaker and freelancer in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I'm trying really hard not to get stupidly excited about this new Mortal Kombat movie. It seems visually really striking, and it seems like the filmmakers are also fans of the source material. I'm a fanboy myself, and it just seems to me like this action fantasy crossover just has so much potential. When I watched the trailer, I got the same feeling that I got when I was a kid and hadn't yet seen Mortal Kombat Annihilation. This can be really good though, as the first Mortal Kombat movie showed us, if the filmmakers know what they're doing. Refreshingly, whether or not the filmmakers know what they're doing is hard to call because the director, Simon McQuoid, hasn't done a feature length yet. But I did go to his website and peep his commercial work, and it's gorgeous. I'm ready to be impressed, and he also says it's gonna be fucking brutal, so I'm always down for that.
You fucking beauty.
But let's get down to it, because Mortal Kombat should be an action film with hopefully a shit ton of fighting. And there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong when your entire film relies on the strength of the action. When I got my start freelancing a few years ago, a large part of my work had to do with obstacle course related content, basically like going to races and running alongside the athletes and then putting together a video for them the day later. I had a lot of time to think about what I find interesting and compelling in an action scene. And I came away from a lot of those experiences thinking that it shouldn't have to do with just like matter of fact, dude went here, dude did this when it comes to action. It should feel emotional and visceral. For me, shooting OCR stuff, that meant that it had to sell the race, but a compelling action shot should communicate to us what the characters are feeling and also tell us how we should be feeling. A lot of directors tend to do this by giving us like a close-up of the actor or athlete's face, but they're missing the point. It's the body that's doing all of the emotional heavy lifting in an action sequence. The strain on the tendons, the angles and tangents of the body. A good action shot will always elicit a sympathetic response from us. We should be gritting our teeth, gripping our fists, the hair should raise on the back of our necks. We should be wrapped up in the physicality of it all. And with that said, I think the filmmakers of the new Mortal Kombat movie could fall into two big traps when they're creating their action sequences. One of them is to spend too much time in close-ups and not show us the whole body of the athlete. And the second one is to cut way too often. A lot of us probably saw the Bourne series when we were kids, and it probably gave us the same sort of feeling. Like, this is a new way to see and experience action in a movie. In the hands of an experienced DP like Oliver Woods, that sort of shaky, handheld, lots of cuts, really close, intimate sort of shooting helped us to feel like we were being beaten up along with Matt Damon. It made us nervous, it felt too close, and it worked for that kind of story. But as the infamous Taken 3 eventually showed us, that style has become largely overused and played out, and it seems like directors don't know when that's the right call to make anymore. Now, 9 times out of 10, if I see a action sequence that has too many cuts and that's shot in a bunch of close-ups, all I think is either the filmmakers didn't know how to stage the scene or the actors don't actually know how to sell the fight. Was that punch unconvincing because the actor isn't athletic enough to pull it off? Well, we'll just cut on the impact. Gross! Fortunately, there's one thing going for us here with the new Mortal Kombat movie, and it's that the industry is moving away from having to hire big stars to sell their movies. This is important because Mortal Kombat has its own pedigree. Because people will go and watch it because it's Mortal Kombat, they can focus on actually casting people who can do the shot. Think Robin Chow in the first Mortal Kombat film. Nobody knew who he was, but he absolutely killed it as Liu Kang. By the way, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. We already knew how to stage and show great fight scenes decades ago when Jackie Chan and a generation of Chinese filmmakers showed us that all that you really needed to have a visceral, powerful fight scene was 2 great athletes and a wide lens. If you've got real martial artists, or at the very least 2 great physical actors on screen, you don't need to cut away from a punch. Just show it clearly so that the audience can see how great it looks. The problem with this, of course, and why we've moved away from that largely, is because this is a lot of strain on the actors, and it takes a whole lot more time than just setting up 2 cameras from different angles and then cutting between them if the sequence didn't work out perfectly. There's so much that can go wrong if you're having to have 2 athletes do something really difficult, do long takes over and over and over again, and sometimes it's just easier to try and put it back together in post. It sucks. Still, there are some really promising shots in this trailer. In this scene, you can see that Hanzo and his opponent are both on screen at the same time, and you can see the hit connect. That could be really visceral if they don't cut away really fast like they did in the trailer, but I mean, it's a trailer, whatever. Either way, in order to feel that visceral impact of every punch and kick and attack, the filmmakers are gonna have to trust the actors to do their job convincingly. Another pitfall that we could run into here is that pedigree that we talked about earlier, that Mortal Kombat has. That fan service feeling when Scorpion goes, "Get over here!" You know, that one, that's real. It gives me goosebumps because I'm such a fan. And if that is couched in an awesome fight scene and given proper context, then it could be really cool. But it could also be a crutch because fan service is cheap. And if the filmmakers rely on that sort of thing rather than good writing, if it causes them to be lazy, then we could be in real trouble here. We've seen it over and over and over again, relying on an audience's built-in goodwill to make up for lazy writing, shoddy filmmaking, and rushed productions. We're wise to this shit. You just can't do it anymore. Not only are people really movie literate now and know what sucks and doesn't suck, but video games themselves are a great, mature storytelling medium. We're not here watching a Mortal Kombat movie to have you legitimize our favorite characters by having them say a tagline. What we want you to do is to take your time and give us a good movie experience overall. No matter what the franchise is, no matter who's in it or what they say. Okay. I'm incensed. You see this happening right now. My blood pressure. I need more coffee. More caffeine will make this easier, right? I don't want to be too skeptical though, because this is 2021. Just because it's an adaptation of a video game and a reboot doesn't mean necessarily that it's gonna suck. And if any of Simon McCoy's previous work is any indication, it looks like he's a really great visual mind and that he's got a lot to bring to this. If he and the filmmakers who have been involved in this have spent their time just making a good movie and doing justice to a great franchise, and they have action scenes that aren't super cut up and floaty and, you know, bad, then I'm here for this. I want to see them succeed. And I'm really excited that this could finally be a turning point for video game movies in general. We already know what makes a good action movie. And I think we all kind of have an idea of what would make a good Mortal Kombat movie. So what do you think? Are they gonna nail it, or is this just going to be another heaping pile of mass-produced garbage like so many of the other adaptations we've seen in the past? Let me know in the comments below, and I guess we'll find out together in April. All right, I'm done.